Hello guys and welcome to iHOTSu, a channel where I try to teach you how to HOTS. Right now we are at episode number 4 of this map guide series, and today I'm going to talk about one of the most hated maps in Heroes of the Storm, Garden of Terror. There's no better way to start out a map guide than by taking a look at the map itself. Garden of Terror is a huge 3-lane map with 6 mercenary camps but no watchtowers. It has a pretty big jungle, which means that there is a lot of space between the lanes. You have 4 siege giant camps and 2 bruiser camps perfectly divided on this map. Garden of Terror is very different from other maps because it has a day and night cycle. The first night will start 1 minute and 30 seconds after the start of the game. During the night phase, 4 shambler camps, like I like to call them, and 2 garden golems will appear. Each shambler camp drops 15 seeds and each golem drops 60 seeds, which means you can get a total of 180 seeds per night. Once you have 100 seeds, a garden terror will grow next to your core. A hero can then right-click the plants to control it. A lot of players think that the garden terror and the dragon knight are very similar, but that's so wrong. The garden terror isn't doing extra damage to structures like the dragon knight. It has a 1 minute and 30 seconds timer if it isn't killed before that. The garden terror has 3 spells: Spore Queen's Curse, Plant Horror Overgrowth, and Sprint. The first one allows you to turn heroes in the targeted area into plant zombies, which slows and silences them. The second one drops a flower pot at the targeted place, disabling and damaging all enemy structures in a large area. It will also deal a massive amount of damage to minion waves. The last one gives the Garden Terror a 30% speed boost over 3 seconds. Right now I'm going to talk about the strategy. At the start of the game, you should already decide which golem you will go for. Let's say you go for the top one. Then you can go for a 3-1-1 formation, or a 2-2-1 depending on the wave clearing abilities of the heroes in your team. Avoid team fights in the early game to be sure your team is fully fit for the night. Even though there are a lot of objectives on the map, soaking lanes to get experience is still key. Once you have the Garden Terror, there are 2 possibilities. The first one is that the whole team pushes with the Garden Terror. The second one is that you split in the lanes to maximize the amount of damage, but you have to be sure that the hero in the Garden Terror can get out with a good escapability. The Garden Terror should not only be used to do damage against structures. You can silence and zone out enemies from the teamfight to get an advantage. The flower pot does a massive amount of damage against minions and mercenaries, so deep pushing with it can be very useful. A last thing I want to mention is do not take the Garden Terror immediately. If your whole team is dead and you still have time to take the Garden Terror, wait for it. It will be useless if you're alone pushing through a wall. You're probably going to die as well. When do you have to take mercenary camps on Garden of Terror? In my opinion, the best moment is just before taking a plant. Once a terror is taken, you will not be able to get a mercenary camp unless you attacked it before the terror officially activates. This is a moment where you should take a close look to the minimap. If a merc camp doesn't disappear, you know the enemy is there, and it is the perfect opportunity to ambush them. Taking a camp just before taking the terror is perfect. If you push on a different lane with your Garden Terror, then the mercs, they are going to be able to do a lot of damage without being noticed. This is the moment where I'm going to give you a few useful tips. 1. Spore Queen's Curse does no damage to structures, so make sure you try to hit enemy heroes with it to silence them. 2. If you are defending against the Garden Terror, focus down the flower pot first. It will do way more damage to your structures than the Garden Terror itself. 3. Make sure you don't send a squishy hero without an escapability in the Garden Terror, because once he gets out, he's probably going to get focused down. 4. Don't try to go for 2 garden golems at the same time, because you will be weak on 2 sides instead of being strong on 1. Now I want to thank you all for watching. If you have any questions, leave it in the comment section down below. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe and share the video if you enjoyed it. Thanks a lot, and I'll catch you guys later.